You're It. I'm Amanda Malcolm, and you're listening to You're It, Girl, a podcast focused on you and what propels you. Because that past, it does not define you. Your time is now, and you're it, girl. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to You're It, Girl. Today, next to me, I have an amazing guest named Jessica LaMarre. She is a best-selling author and an amazing mother, and now a new friend, I would say. We just had a lunch the other day, and our lunch was so fun. We talked about so many amazing topics. So if you would just share with everybody just a little bit about yourself and your background before we dive into your story and what you do now.
Yes. So I'm an intuitive guide and healer, and I spent 15 years in technology. So I have an interesting mix of bringing in the head and the heart together to find that union within. And as you said, I'm a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a little boy, and I absolutely love it. And my most favorite thing in all the world is empowering women.
And where did you grow up? What's your background as far as childhood and how you came to, remind me, did you grow up in Arizona?
Yes.
You did, right? Yes, you did.
I grew up in Buckeye, Arizona.
In Buckeye. We didn't talk about that.
I grew up in it was small then. We were the only
I imagine it was small.
Yes.
There was not was it the 303 that goes out there to Buckeye? Is it 303?
So you take the I-10 and it's the last city before there's nothing when you go to California. And there's a Watson exit now. So I lived off Watson.
Oh, yes, Watson.
However, there was no exit when I grew up there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And so we played in the desert. We played sports. It was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Life was pretty simple.
And remind me how many siblings you have?
I have 1.
Oh,
so
1.
my dad comes from 8 and my mom comes from 5. And they said, we are not having any more than 2 kids.
You know, I come from 8.
Oh, really?
Yes, you don't really hear that very often. So that's wild. That's like why I only have 1. I'm like, I came from 8. I'm just going to have 1. That's enough. And then I'm done.
Yes.
So when we were at lunch and we were talking, you were telling me a little bit about when after you'd had your first 2 children and you were involved in engineering, and then something happened where you had decided, I just cannot do this job anymore. I need to make a change. What was that time period like for you? What was happening and going on?
Yeah. It makes me emotional thinking about it as we sit here. I felt really alone because I was taught that what I wanted would make me happy. And I had it all. We had multiple homes, nice cars, a beautiful family, all the vacations. Like everything was so nice, right? And I felt so alone and so empty. And I thought, how could it be like this? I've worked so hard, and I worked hard. I worked 60 to 80 hours a week every single week as a mother of 2. And I would wake up and work. I would check my phone right before I went to sleep. I was dedicated at the cost of myself. So I thought there has to be another way. There must be another way. This can't be life. And so I would have never said this then, but looking back and now understanding, I was depressed. However, here's the thing. Everyone else would tell me, you're the happiest person I know. So it was kind of as though I suffered in silence because I couldn't be sad. Because for everyone else, I had to be happy. I had to come across as I was fine. And that's what I always said. I'm fine. I'm good.
This resonates with me. I know this feeling. This has happened to me a few times before in my life. And you also shared a story with me about your youngest child.
Yes.
When we were at lunch. And that was something that really changed your whole outlook, yes, on life and what you were and what you do now. Is that right?
Absolutely. So during that time, I was unconsciously praying for a miracle. I knew I didn't want life to be the same, but I didn't know how to change my life. Ever since I was in 3rd grade, I said, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. So I didn't know a different way. So I had to learn a different way.
That was a dream that you had at 8 years old.
At 8 years old, yes.
And you did it.
Yes, I did. And I was really good at it. I received a lot of validation from work. And so that further percolated me working so much. Right. And so I wanted something different. I wanted more time to myself. And in 2017, I was pregnant, and there's a large ultrasound that they check everything. And the OBG or the ultrasound tech, she didn't say anything. And I didn't remember anybody else not doing that. In my previous 2 pregnancies, I remember them saying things like, oh, things look great. They can't really comment, but. Right. And she didn't say anything. And I thought, is everything okay? And I said that out loud after I thought that a few times. And she said, the doctor will look at it and get back to you. And
that's not a comforting thing to hear.
No,
as a mom.
No, it definitely wasn't. And so I went, and of course, what did I do? Buried myself in work. Right?
That's what we do.
That's what I did all the time, buried myself in work so that I wouldn't have to feel.
That will stop it. Yeah, that will stop it. That will stop me from feeling anything.
And they said the OBGYN will call you. And sure enough, the next day I was sitting at my desk and I got a call. And it was my OBGYN telling me not to look anything up, but that my baby had cysts on its brain and kidney issues. And we didn't know what we were having. So I say it because we didn't know what we were having. And I said, okay, well, what do I need to do? And he said, you need to go see a high-risk doctor now. And he asked, do you need a number? And I said, no, because this is my 2nd time being a high-risk pregnancy. So I already had one. And I went to the doctor, and they informed us that the potential was trisomy 18, which is a chromosome condition in which your baby doesn't survive. The majority of the time, like 1%, 5%, 10%. We're talking very, very low numbers that they will ever survive. And I went home and I allowed 2 tears to flow down my face because I didn't cry back then at all. I was taught that it was weak and that I needed to be strong. And so I sat in that bathtub and I allowed those 2 tears to fall and I prayed for something different. And then out of nowhere, my brother-in-law gave me the book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I thought it was about getting things done now. And I was like, great, I need this book.
This is my perfect book for me, for my workaholic self. This is exactly what I need. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah. And so
my gosh. She's like, I'm going to read it right now, actually, while I'm driving.
Yes. And so I started reading it. And it's not about getting things done now. It's about being in the present moment. And then he also recommended the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, to me. And I started reading these things and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm living in this culturescape. I'm doing everything they told me to do. And I'm not me.
That's a realization. Mm-hmm. An awakening.
Difficult.
So then what happened after reading those books, and what transpired with your pregnancy?
Yeah. So I read these books and I started to realize that I could change the way that I think, that I could change the way that I live, that I could transform my life. And I started to go inward. It was the first time in my life that I went inward. I was always looking outward. And as I started to go inward, and I've always been an avid prayer, so I love praying. And so I started to do these, but this was it wasn't like a beseeching prayer, like, help me. It was like a thank you, like an empowering way of speaking to source, to the divine. A very empowering, like, I know, I'm so grateful that I even have this opportunity to hold this child. Thank you for this opportunity. And so we go further along. The cysts have gotten smaller. We get further along. The last the last ultrasound, they say, well, there's just kidney issues and a very small chance. It's only like 5% chance that it's trisomy 18. So very small. And we go in on Cinco de Mayo, which, by the way, don't have a baby on Cinco de Mayo because not many people are working.
That seems really odd that we celebrate that day more than other days. But okay.
So we go in on Cinco de Mayo, and I go into labor, and after an intense labor, I give birth to a complete miracle.
It's wild. The story gives me the goosebumps listening to you tell it again, because I could not believe when we were at lunch and the doctor had asked you to make a decision too.
Yes, the doctor asked me to make a decision. He informed me that pregnancy is difficult, but birth can be life-threatening. And it was a very interesting...
For you and the baby?
For me and the baby. And that I already had 2 beautiful children. And I honored what he said to me and grateful that I had the choice, right, to make. And it was as though I didn't speak, though, but something spoke through me. And it said, if I hold this baby for the rest of my life, or if I hold this baby for 5 minutes, I'm holding this baby. And that was the decision that I made. And what came of it was a miracle. It's about trusting. Yeah.
So how old? So you had a baby boy.
I had a baby boy. Boy. So precious. He's the sweetest boy in the whole wide world.
And how old is he now?
He's 5 now.
5. It is such a wild miracle story.
Mm-hmm.
That one in itself.
Yes.
And so brave of you in that moment to truly trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And know that you were making the right decision. And then look at what transpired from that.
It was beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And after you had him, then what happened? You were going through this. This alone would have been an incredible moment of transformation. Just the miracle of having this baby. But you were already on the cusp of something.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
So what was this?
So then I discovered healing. Which just transformed my life. So I knew that we could heal medically, but I didn't understand that we could heal emotions. I didn't understand that we could heal thought processes. I didn't understand that we could heal and set ourselves free. I had no idea. None whatsoever. And as I started doing this, it was as though I was calling back pieces of me and setting myself free at the same exact time. It was magical. And I was so inspired. And I've done 50, 60 different healing modalities on myself because I really find healing empowering. And I do healing on myself every day. And I said, I have to share this. I have to go and share this with the world. And that's when I did life coaching and spiritual coaching and workshop facilitation. I was like, this isn't quite it. This isn't what I'm called to do. And I started going deeper. And then I became a Reiki master. And then I went to Delphi University and did in-depth channeling and sound and light healing, color and sound healing, and all of these different modalities. And I thought, this is it. It is that deep inner work that we are called to do, that I am called to do, that I want to share with others, because my life is drastically different.
Sure.
I quit my corporate career.
When did you quit that career? January
of 2022.
Okay, so this is actually fairly recent. And your son was born 2018. So during that time period, you were exploring
absolutely
healing while you were still doing this corporate job and being a mom and a wife.
Yes.
This is a whole nother episode, which you're going to know about soon.
Yes. So fun.
But that is a lot on one's plate.
It is. However, here's what I did.
Yeah. How did you transition that?
Once I had Rhett and had this miracle, I knew that life would never be the same. I knew that inside of my bones. I stopped working so much. I only worked 40 hours a week, if that, 32 to 40 hours a week. And I accomplished more in that time than I ever accomplished working 60 to 80 hours, ever.
Wow.
Ever. So then,
just by being intentional about the time that you were spending on work when you were working.
Yes. And also, as I was healing, I was letting go of that perfectionistic and that controlling tendencies and all of these tendencies that kept me trapped, if you will. And so as I was opening myself up, doing the healing work, things were just kind of starting to happen for me.
Sure.
It was just, it's like magic. It was magical how synchronicities would come. The 111, the 333, the 555, the numbers everywhere, the butterflies, just like all of these synchronicities around. And knowing that I was supported. So there was this underlying support that I felt that I'd never had before, ever. And so in 2019, I knew I was going to quit my corporate job. I absolutely knew it. And also, I'm a smart woman. And so I prepared and I planned, right? So I prepared and I planned because I was always the breadwinner and took care of our family. And I didn't want extra stress to land on our family. So I saved enough money that I could live off of for 2 years so that I wouldn't be in survival mode while trying to build what I've been called to build. And I did as much of my healing work as I could during that time. I did the trainings that I could during that time so that when I opened myself up to what's possible and quit that job, that I would feel freer. And I did.
And so now what are you doing right now? You had told me that you've got something on the horizon that you are working on. This is pretty incredible.
Yes.
So tell us what it is.
Yes. Okay. So, there's a few. So first, let me just say that I wrote the book, Reclaim Yourself, in 2022.
Where can we find it?
Amazon. Reclaim Yourself, Jessica LaMarre. And so I wrote that book. That came out. And now,
when did it come out?
It came out in November of 2022.
It was just recent.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Now I must read
it.
We just had our first friend lunch.
Yes, and I brought you a copy. It's in the car.
Not even a week ago.
Yes.
Wait, what day is it? I never know what day it is. What day is it?
It's Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? When did we have lunch?
Friday.
Okay, so it hasn't even been a week. So we are new friends. So I haven't had a chance to read your book yet. So now I'm reading it.
Yes.
After this.
Perfect.
On my bedside table, it will go.
Perfect. I brought you a copy.
Oh,
it's in the car. I said, I've got to get this to her.
That's so sweet of you.
Oh, thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Your energy is just...
Thank you.
I'm grateful for all that you share.
Thank you. And same.
Thank you. So now it's all about really bringing forth this message that we are powerful and women are powerful. And I am so adamant about helping and empowering women that I decided to go back and get my master's. And I'm going to get my master's in women's spirituality to help us remember the divinity that exists within us and what we can do when we choose to, I don't want to say take hold of our lives, but when we remember what it is that we are and who it is that we are and what it is that we're meant to do. And so now I'm doing really supporting women in the one-on-one basis and doing a 7 steps to spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening, really just helping women, guide them on their journey back to themselves. I want to be very clear. This is about coming back to yourself and about trusting yourself.
When you talk about this, you're so inspired by it. I can tell that you have such a deep passion for this. And that translated when we were having lunch, but now even more so now that it's the second time that we're talking about it. What is it that does inspire you?
Watching the shifts in women. When I'm in a session, it is a true miracle. When I'm speaking, it is a true miracle to watch these women hear and listen to what's being said, and it activates something within them for them to remember who they are, to remember the divinity that exists within them, for them to say, oh my gosh, no, I have the power to transform my life, to make it what I want. I have that power. And when they remember that, and when I do the healing work, or when I hold the space to do the healing work and they're doing the healing and I'm just watching them transform in front of my eyes, like their entire energy shifts. Mm-hmm. It's a miracle.
What's the biggest shift that, I know you can't probably
share. Yeah, no, I can't share
but what's the biggest shift that you've seen without sharing, specific details? Mm-hmm. Is there one that that you always come back to, that you think about, minus the one with yourself, because I imagine that is a pretty big one.
Yes. Yeah.
But one that somebody that you remember from the very beginning, or that really is always on your mind as someone that you witnessed a huge shift in.
Yes. Well, I'll talk about one person because she has given me permission to talk about it. And in 2019, I did a workshop, and she just, from that moment, I saw something in her and she saw something in me. And I empowered her by just speaking my truth. And she was able then to speak hers. And since that time, she has gone on her journey. She is no longer in her corporate career. She's doing dance through Shine Fitness. She's an instructor. Like, she just wanted to manifest this whole world, and she's manifested it. And she's absolutely incredible. And she came to me and said, "You have changed my life so much. I just want to help you. What can I do to support you?" And so I get to work with her every single week. And it is just truly magical that we get to be in each other's lives, because she is a true angel on earth and doing the things that she wants. And her life has completely transformed, like completely. She wouldn't know herself then and now. Yeah.
What is in store for you in the future? What's your goal with all of this?
Yeah. So my goal is to create a soul community, locally based here in Arizona, for women who desire to feel inspired and connected and not alone. Because this journey can be very difficult. I'm not going to say that it's all, butterflies
I know you make
and
it sound
cupcakes
so. Whenever
and rainbows.
someone has been through this healing process, and it sounds so easy, right?
But it can be difficult. And so having that place for them to come together. And it's so funny because we were driving up north and my daughter in the backseat says, "Mom, I have a vision of your place.
Oh,
we're going to have 5 rooms. There's going to be a healing room for you. There's going to be a front area." And she's telling me this whole vision. And then everybody, all of my children chime in. Then my second daughter says, "Mom, I'm going to be the organizer and the receptionist. I'm going to greet people when they come
so
in."
Sweet.
And my son, he's so cute. "Well, what am I going to do? What do I get to do?" I said, "You get to do whatever you want, honey." But we're already envisioning what this looks like. And it's really about a place and a space for women to come together to feel empowered, supported, and connected.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited for you. I know. So after you get through your master's program, this is the grand idea.
Absolutely.
To have an actual space for women to come together.
Yes.
I can help you find that space.
Oh, beautiful. I love
it. I want to help you find that space.
I would love that help.
My other question to you is, if women are in this space where they're feeling lost, they're feeling alone, feeling not connected to themselves, you've helped countless women now, and you've been through this journey yourself, and you are still doing things to gain more knowledge and more depth so that way you can share more and inspire more. What advice do you have for women that are in that, but they're not in this space that you're in yet? Mm-hmm. What can they do?
Yeah, 2 things. Number 1, always reach out for help. Reach out for help. I didn't in the beginning, and it was really lonely. So reach out for help. You could reach out to me, reach out to a friend, reach out to whoever feels good, and find somebody that you could trust. Mm-hmm. And number 2 is meditate. And I know that I was so resistant to meditating. Okay, I want to be really clear. I was so resistant.
It's hard to meditate.
But I teach a meditation in which we're not clearing our mind. That's not the goal. Okay. And so you don't even have to get quiet. Just sit there.
What is the goal?
Whatever your intention is. So when I meditate, I have many different intentions. I can meditate to connect to the spirit within me, to connect to love within me. I can meditate to connect to the parts within me, so that we're made up of many different parts. That's a whole nother episode. But I can meditate so that they don't feel lonely. So then I don't feel lonely, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're just a direct manifestation of me. I can meditate to do that. I can meditate to support my children. There's so many different ways. I can meditate to say, okay, I'm ready to go to a place that there is nothing there. And I do that as well. There's so many different ways.
It's interesting. I have not heard it described that way. Because meditation, I feel like it is it's a topic right now of conversation. I feel like it has been for a while, but there's a lot of focus on it right now. And oftentimes it seems as though, and maybe I'm just not well versed on it, but it seems as though meditation is something that is, in order to get into a meditative state, your mind has to be clear. And you have to sit there for 10 minutes thinking of nothing. And so I try to do this. I do yoga frequently, you know that.
Yeah.
And when I'm in yoga, I feel like I am in meditation focus, but I'm still thinking about lots of things. And so I'm like, oh, I must not be meditating. Now I need to try harder to meditate and think about nothing. But it's more so about setting an intention of what you are wanting to meditate and think about.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
clearing the other things out to put intentional focus on that. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Ah, see, I learned something today. I can't believe of all the people I've talked to, no one's been able to explain it that way. No offense to you all. No offense.
Yeah, it's a beautiful connection, whatever you want it to be. And I think that is, I just want to speak for a second on that. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let it be whatever it is, right? And we learn that young. When we take trauma and turn it into achievement, those are the women that I help.
Perhaps we should talk more. You know that was coming, didn't you? Yes. I've been working on some things with that.
Yeah.
So how do we find you, Jessica?
Yes. So love personal growth. You go to @lovepersonalgrowth on Instagram, on Facebook, www.lovepersonalgrowth.com, registered trademark, Love Personal Growth. I love personal growth.
You love, hence the trademark and all the things. She loves personal growth, and that's how you can find her.
Yes.
I love personal growth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners today that we haven't touched on, talked about? I know that it's such a short time frame to squeeze all of these things in there. And when we talked at lunch, you had so much to talk about and share. And so much of it, I think, is so valuable to women and to our listeners, no matter where you are in your journey. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you felt as we were even having the conversation yesterday on the phone, preparing for this, that you want to share?
Yeah. So I would say one thing. You know what your heart is calling. Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on to
Yes. Thank you so much for having
the
me.
podcast today. And I can't wait to have you on again.
Yes,
To talk
on
about
our
some
next
other things
episode.
and our upcoming episode that is going to be about motherhood.
Yes, motherhood and the struggles.
And the struggles. That's coming soon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. That is You're It Girl.